Hi, this is Kiran. I'm the host for this video. In this video, we are going to see some of the computer questions, improve your knowledge, compilers and language. This is part 1 of this video. This is the first question. The dash tell the computer how to use its components. The options are utility, network, operating system, application, and none of these. The answer is operating system. You can see there are tons of operating systems available in the market. The popular ones are Microsoft Windows XP and different versions of Windows like Windows 2000, Vista. People who are there from more than decades, they know Windows 95, which is popular, the Mac OS from Apple, and Linux. This is only one flavor of Unix. Other flavors like Ubuntu, IBM AAX, Solaris, very good for high-end PCs with data processing and servers. Next question. The function of an assembler is called dash. You need to read the whole options. To convert basic language information to a machine language. This is wrong. A high-level language into a machine language. Usually compiler does this. An assembly language to a machine language. This option looks pretty good. To convert assembly level language to high level. This is not at all good for any of such stuff. So option C, to convert assembly level language into machine language, is the correct answer. You can see the picture above. There are 3 types of such things: assembler, compiler, and interpreter. You need to know the information of all. Assembler is somewhat closer to a machine codes. Compiler is high level language. Even interpreter is a high level language, but the only difference between these two guys are this does line by line processing and this will be done on the whole. It also creates an object code in between. We are going to learn in other bits. So let's jump into another. The software tools that enable a user to interact with a computer for specific purposes are known as hardware, network software, shareware, or applications. None of these. So the option should be applications. You can see some of the examples over here: Mozilla Browser, Photoshop, Microsoft Paint, Internet Explorer, Flash Player, Media Player, Clean Master. You can see a lot of applications come under this where users are directly interacting with the computer. Next question. The operating system is the most common type of dash software. It comes under communication? No. Whether it comes under an application? No. Is it a word processing? Obviously this and this are same, but here the option should be C, system. Which among the following is our interpreted language? He specifically mentioned R, means there could be more than one, plural. The interpreted languages are Visual Basic and Java, but in this case choosing E option alone will satisfy these two. Here is a picture for Java, how it became an interpreted language. This is the compiler. It compiles the source code to a zeros and one, the binary code, Java bytecode. It is an intermediate code which can be read by the Java virtual machine, in short JVM. You might observe these things. This is independent to each and every operating system. Here it is Windows, Macintosh or Mac OS, and different versions of Linux and Unix. This is one of the greatest advantage of Java, why it became platform independent and also supports hugely in internet applications. A normal compiler takes source code as input and produces this as output. Answer is object code. You can see this pretty common in C and C++ languages that you have learned. This is the program written in source code, high level language that we can understand. Then we are going to compile using a compiler. You need a compiler to compile your source codes. It internally creates a .obj file, which in turn converts into an exe file by a linker and loaders. We are going to see that in another bits that are coming by. Finally, the information is played in the computer. So the answer should be object code. Whenever you see compiler takes source code to dash, you might be slightly confused with assembly code, but in terms of compiler you won't see assembly code. When you see a linkers in picture, then only you'll see a machine code is coming in picture, but the moment when compiler is there, its output should always be the object code. A linker program is dash. It places a program in the memory for the purposes of execution. No. Relocates the program to execute from one specific memory area allocated to it. Links the program with other programs needed for its execution. So the linker here is linking. So this is the closest answer. Links the program with other programs needed for its execution. So option C should be your option. You can see in this picture, these are different source files. It could be C, C++ or any other programming language files. The moment you compile it, it converts into the object file. We saw earlier that compiler converts it. The linker comes in this. Here its picture starts where it collects all the object files, the required runtime libraries. These are pretty common for the whole system. It combines and creates one executable program which can be read by that operating system so that you can directly execute it. So once the executable program is created, it is independent. It need not depend on any of the source files. It can be executed independently. But again, this is dependent on a particular OS. For example, if it is Windows, it uses .exe file. If it is Solaris, Linux might be like scripts or any other stuff. But it need not be the same. The exe will not work in the Unix environment. Which of the following system software resides in main memory always? So with the text editor, the answer is wrong, because if you close the text editor, it flushes out of your memory. Assembler, linker or loader. Linker comes in picture at the time of execution and loader is the exact answer here. So the option D you need to choose. You can further see in this picture how the role of loader and linker is in picture. Here comes the source program. It is provided into assembler, but in this case you can also put compiler if required. The process will be same. It converts into the .obj file as we discussed earlier, always comparing through C programming language, but you can also link up with any other programming language that you understood. And then comes the linker program, where we saw in our earlier picture as well, multiple object files as well as some system libraries, in short they call runtime libraries, will be converted to an executable code. Finally, the executable code will be handed over to loader. The loader knows where in the memory it should be placed and kept for ready to execution. To have this process running pretty quickly, the loader should always reside in the main memory to be able to fetch the required executables. So your answer should always be a loader in such scenarios. The dash program is used to convert mnemonic code to machine code. The answer should be assembler. You can see the picture over here. Some code that is written in assembly language. It is pretty close to the machine level language, slightly intermediate. It is in between high level language and machine level language. So your assembler language sits here. Move 37H to so and so address. So it's pretty tough to remember all these addresses and other stuff. The same if you see a programming in C language, it will be much easier. So here the mnemonic code to a machine code, these are all mnemonic codes, and this will be in turn connected to a machine code like ones and zeros. I hope you got now what is mnemonic codes that will be converted to a machine code. So the option should be D. A set of rules for telling the computer what operations to perform is called a dash. It is a programming language. It is pretty tough to eliminate such things, but if you see operations perform, so it should be only a programming language. You cannot see a procedural language. Some of the procedural language is called SQL, one of the example, and this comes under database retrieval and other stuff. The structures, it is part of a programming language. Natural language, I don't think this will come into picture for a computer. Command language, not a specific either. So when it comes to programming language, you can see there are tons of programming languages available in the market. One is Java, Python, ABAP, Visual Basics, C++, C, COBOL, the early stages. So all these things come under programming language, which performs operations and telling the computer what type of rules need to be followed. Let's move on. Which language is CPU dependent? So in this case, we already saw that Java is CPU independent because it has its own JVMs which can read the same source object code in a different operating systems like Mac, Unix, Windows. When it comes to C, it creates object and exe which is dependent to a language. So this should be a wrong answer. Assembly level language, again dependent on the type of machine it is working on. So the answer here, it should be all except Java. So even Java, if you put it by mistake, if you don't observe this, you will end up into a wrong answer. So you need to be very careful with the options. Some snippet of a Java program. You can see this is a programming language, and the moment the file hello world app.java is compiled, it can be then transferred to a JVM So the JVMs need to be installed in a particular computer. So the code is written only once and can be executed in multiple machines. So this is very good in maintenance. The language which can easily interact with the hardware is called dash. Is it a high-level language, low-level language, middle-level language, or all of these? The answer is low-level language. So these two are wrong because the low-level language contains directly with zeros and ones. So this will be easy. It is also called as a binary language where the machine code easily understands. When it comes to middle level language, it still has one more hop, assembly level language to a machine level language. So this hop takes more time and you need an assembler for this. And a high level language, it has two hops. High level language in turn converts to object code, that is assembler type of code, and from there to a machine level language exe file. So it has a 3 stops. But here one hop. For the machines it's direct, so that's the reason he is asking over here. So the languages which can easily interact with the hardware is called the low level language. Mostly that's the device drivers and all. Machine language is a language in which programs were first written. Looks true. Is the only language understood by the computer. Of course this is true. Differs from one type of computer to another one. Obviously even it is a machine dependent. So all these 3 are true. So let's put up the option all of the above. Computer language used on internet is called dash. We already discussed this. Option C, Java, is correct because of its platform independent. So always remember Java is so successful because now it is internet era and you can write a program once and can be exported to a multiple operating systems. So it is totally independent of it. That's the reason you can see Java extensively in internet and web browsers in terms of applets. Computer program used for business application is dash. The answer is COBOL. You can see Fortran is used for scientific and mathematical operations. Pascal, C++, Basic are all different programs. You can see more information of COBOL over here. You can pause the video and read this stuff. It turned 50 in 2009. So you can see how old this is. It is Common Business Oriented Language. In short, CO for Common Business Oriented Language. The only disadvantage with COBOL is it is very tough to understand and write the programs. It has a lot of rules and standards to be followed. It is told that data maintained by COBOL program will take 10 to 15 years by a supercomputer to be migrated to another platform or a technology. So this is the main reason you still see COBOL in 2000 era. Which of the following is not a computer language? We have heard about high-level language. We have learned about machine language and a low-level language. These two are pretty much common, but a medium-level language we never heard. So this should be the culprit and the odd out. The same is depicted in this picture. Computer languages. This is a low-level language, machine language. It uses zeros and ones, middle and high. So you see low, middle and high level, but there is no medium. Translator program used in assembly level language is called dash. It is so simple. We already discussed multiple times. It is the assembler. Java is an example of dash. It comes under higher level language. In depth, it is an interpreter. Slightly confused with this 4th generation. Indeed, this is the best option to choose. It is not the assembly level language or the machine. These are two old-lived languages. Which of the following is a programming language for creating special programs like applets? So again, Java is ruling here. You can see Java program has applets. Java applets. So you might have seen a lot of games played in internet nowadays, and most of the pop-ups that are coming, the warning messages and everything are written in Java. Some of them are Visual Basic as well. So it is counterpart to your Java language. This is from Microsoft, but in this case you don't see any Visual Basics, so you can choose safely this Java programming for your option. COBOL is for business, domain name and other are not in picture at all. The computer language used for scientific calculation is dash. We already discussed that in earlier. It should be Fortran, formula translation, and the other, when it comes, I'll be explaining. So you can pause the video and learn more stuff about Fortran over here. It is pretty old and still into the market due to its greatest success. The language used for development of various games. Again, now it is an internet era. You can see Java is coming into picture, which was written with a lot of games. So you can see all these pictures, most of them are prepared with Java, and SQL is for data processing, C is from basic stuff, Pascal is bit older, Fortran is formula translation and scientific mathematical stuff, so this cannot be the case. Which of the following is not characteristic of COBOL? It is a very standardized language. It has a limited facilities for mathematical notation. It is very efficient in terms of coding and execution. We already discussed this. COBOL is the only disadvantage is it's very tough to understand or write the program. It has a lot of rules and standards to follow. If you don't follow, your program will not get into compiled. You'll face a lot of errors. So the option odd out is it is very efficient in terms of coding and execution. That is not the case. So all the others are true. This is false. Dash are words that a programming language has set aside for its own use. So what do you call those words which you cannot use in your programming language? You need to know those things. The answer should be reserved words. You might get confused with keys, but don't use this. And control structure, special words and control words are not the case. So you need to remember this is an excerpt from a C programming language, where you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. There are quite a few reserved words. If you use them, you'll see some errors in the time of compilation. And also these in a proper editor will get highlighted to show you guys like these are reserved words. You need to know why and where each one needs to be used. Lisp is designed for Dash. It's mainly designed for the purpose of artificial intelligence. You can see Lisp is an important language for artificial intelligence programming. Lisp programs defines how to perform an algorithm on the expressions it takes in the format of lists. It reads the lists, and also it's pretty easy to remember. LIS from list is picked and P for programming. A C language developed by Dennis Ritchie in which year? So you can see this is a pretty straightforward answer, but you need to remember that. And in C there are a lot of questions, you might get it, so you need to follow the Wikipedia and other important stuff online to understand the background of it, how it got evolved, and out of many languages why that became very successful even today. Thanks for watching this video. This is Kiran, your host. Stay tuned for more videos. If you subscribe to this channel, you'll be getting a better videos. This is Kiran signing off. Take care. Bye bye.